Welcome to the Loyal Sons podcast. I'm the Hoff. As always, my compadre, cohort, whatever you want to call him, Brett, is here with me. We are recording this on Tuesday, April the 21st. This is being recorded just so we can kind of intro you guys into an amazing show that Brett and I had on Sunday with the great Robbie Sender. It was awesome to have him join us. Brett, you had a good time?
Amazing. Like, it's one of those things where when we started this podcast, it was like, let's just fucking do it. Mm-hmm. And it was just cool having him on, talking to him about his songs. And like I said, his song, My Friend, is top 5 on my favorites right now. So that was just, it was cool. It was an experience.
Absolutely. Robbie's an absolutely great dude, and had a hell of a time talking to him. Gonna forewarn everybody that there was a slight audio issue during the recording. So I did my best to edit it out to where it does not sound like Robbie's talking over us or we're talking over Robbie. So give us the benefit of the doubt on that. You'll just enjoy the story, the stories that come from Robbie. But no discussion of the sports today. No Cyclones, Hawkeyes, Huskers, whatever you have it. This is something where, like I said, we're going to have these, if you want to call them special editions here and there moving forward. So anyways, we'll go ahead and hop right into it.
All right, so here we are on the Loyal Sons podcast. We have Robbie Sender joining us, the long-awaited Robbie Sender. We're waiting for to join us. And last week, I know we were going to have him on. I screwed it up and I messed up our time, so I told Robbie to go grab some drinks. But unfortunately, that was during the time we were going to have him on the show. So we pushed it back a week, and it was absolutely well worth it. So
hey, man, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Brett and I are huge fans of your music. And, I know that you just now, it looks like you're just now kind of getting your sound out there. Those are 4.
I got 3 released on Spotify. There's like a handful of others, like old demos kicking around the internet and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of started doing this thing, like somewhat like recently. Like I've been playing music since I was 16 years old or like earlier.
That's what I was going to ask you, yeah.
And I played in like rock bands and stuff like that, like pop punk. I'm 36. So graduated in 2008 from high school, so it was like that, very much like the pop punk era. So I played in bands like doing that kind of thing, and like there's that a very like classic like pop punk / hardcore to a folk / country pipeline that happens with like so many artists.
Yeah.
And so I started doing like the Robbie Sender thing. Like the idea probably back in like 23, 24. And then, life kind of had lots of twists and turns. And I didn't really take any of it seriously until I met this guy who, my friend, the song, he heard me at an open mic and was like, hey, dude, like, I think this is a really good song, blah, blah, blah. I'm a producer. And at the time I was like, okay, sure you are. Yeah.
Everybody's a big name in the music business.
He had some bona fides, and so so I recorded My Friend with him, with his help, and that kind of like kickstarted it. But then I still didn't really do anything for like a year, and then I was playing shows here and there around Milwaukee, and I started getting like some like just like local success, and I was like, okay, like let's try to focus on this and not be, because I think the biggest thing for me was that it's always been about the music and like the promotional side, the social media thing. I didn't like want to do any of that. I didn't want to be like, a social media person, like any capacity. And I realized it's like, well, dude, are you trying to have a music career or not? And so I just had to bite the bullet. And that's when I started posting, started trying to get regular with my releases. So literally at the beginning of the year, when I released Other Side of Blue, was like kind of like the first of basically I'm just going to be releasing every 6 to 8 weeks, indefinitely now, just to kind of play this game of keeping my name in the algorithm, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It is tough. I just turned 44. Brett's in his 40s too. And it's one of those where like, I don't know if it's a generational thing or how you want to say it, but there's a generation of us that we don't want to admit that social media is beneficial.
Exactly, basically it. Yeah.
There's like the generation of like our parents who they're like, yeah, social media is not shit. They don't care. Even though my dad was on TikTok before I was, which is hilarious because like if you meet my dad, he's like a 5'6" cowboy, like wears his cowboy hat everywhere we go. Like we lived out in the sticks growing up. He's actually the inspiration to my love for Bush Light. But yeah. It's funny because and then there's our generation where we're like we hate it, but we got to do it if we want to get our name out there. And then there's the generation after us, which is like they don't know how to literally, and some of them don't know how to even converse with people unless it's via social media or text.
It is. It's a funny thing to see, man. There is like a. It's well, like I'm in a really like interesting sweet spot, and you guys are kind of similar. You know, you would have been 8 or so years older, but where it's like I remember life without the internet, but I also like am savvy with the internet because like I grew up with it. You know what I mean? And like learned to use a computer by hiding my browsing history from my parents. You know what I mean?
I remember the first time I saw the delete history button, I was like, oh, this is genius.
Those damn pop-ups, Mom. I don't know.
Wait, there's a delete history button?
Must have a virus. Yeah.
Brett's just now realizing there's a delete history button. Man, this would have saved me so much trouble.
You'll have to show me how to work that, Nolan.
So you mentioned that obviously there was like that was funny. It was one of the questions I was probably going to ask you because it's I love and since I had a little bit of time in radio and in the music business, like the stations that I was on, it was a variety. There was like 80s rock, then there was an outlaw country, Willie Whalen and the Highwaymen and all those boys. And then there was a top 40 country station. It was everything. But what I got to see. And there's a few musicians that are big name to this day that I had the advantage of being able to meet them when they were absolutely nobody. And the thing is, and I guess where I'm going with that is that some of them, it's funny that they're country musicians and everybody knows them as country musicians, but their true passion is rock, or their true passion. Some of them some of their true passion is actually rap. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, and you were mentioning, and so correct. Sorry if I missed this part, but were you in bands, a while before? Before you went solo.
So I was in a band.
Okay.
My first band, we put together when we were like 14 years old. Oh yeah. Actually, it was still in middle school. So I lied. I started playing guitar when I was 13, and then, and then we put together like a band. A band. We had like 3 Blink-182 covers.
Blink-182 is a hell of a band, man.
Get off on a tangent. Their self-titled record was, I think, like their magnum opus, and then after, then they had all the personal drama, and I think they've kind of fallen off since then. But anyway, their song "Damn It" was the whole reason I started playing music at all. So I was at my buddy's house, and I was watching him play. There was this video of them that he was like, "You got to see this." And they were playing at Big Day Out in Sydney, like this huge music festival. I just heard that opening line, that opening riff, and take your pants off. And I was like, well, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
You just gave me goosebumps, man. I'm going to be honest. That song was such a big part of my childhood, like my high school years. Oh my gosh.
That situation. Yeah, so I still cover "Damn It" in my set, and I do it kind of like moody and
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's like a fun song, right? But like when you slow it down and like you play it like, and kind of sing it from the soul a little bit, like all of a sudden it becomes like kind of a gut-wrenching song,
Oh yeah, the wording is actually not. Yeah, it's uplifting based off the way they play it, but the words to the song, if you listen, you're like, damn, this dude got really kicked in the nuts.
Yeah, so pop punk was definitely like my home, and then and then I kind of like played that transition started into like the folky like world. When I was in college, I was like really like I really like didn't have like an awesome musical education growing up. There was music around the home, but like there wasn't necessarily like I didn't come from like a musical family or anything like that. So I was kind of like musically sheltered, and then I started being a pothead in high school and like discovering new stoner friends, and then in college I kind of started getting into like Jack Johnson and the Strokes.
Great guitar players.
guys like, I mean, just classic rock too was like, I didn't really appreciate classic rock as a kid. I was like, this is the stuff dad listens to and therefore it's lame, and so that's when I started exploring like that kind of folkier side of things. And I played in a band called Glenview Lane for a long time, and I'm still very good friends like with, in fact, the two dudes that were in that band with me are the bass player still lives in the neighborhood here. He and I remain best friends, and he plays bass, and you can hear his voice singing on "Small Town Love." The drummer of that,
That was him. Okay,
he
I was
doing
going to
backing
ask you who
vocals
was
there.
there.
And then
Okay.
the drummer on that song is Paul. He's the guy. He lives out in Rhode Island now with his wife, but he was the drummer in that band, and he helps me produce and mix and master these projects. So I remain close. Then I started doing a string band thing for a while called Snake Oil. You can still dig up that stuff on like Bandcamp or somewhere. Yeah. So
Snake
and you'll
Oil.
actually hear there's some of the songs
I'll have to look that up.
that we had are, I play them now, as Robbie Sender stuff. But yeah.
Okay. Brett, you writing that down?
I am.
I heard his pen click. It's funny you mentioned Blink-182. I was under the same impression you were. They'd kind of fallen off. Like, I like everything in music from orchestra to rap to literally Slipknot style hard rock to Motley Crue to pop punk, everything. I just went to a festival out in Vegas in October. Ironically, it's called the When We Were Young Festival. Blink-182 was headlining it. Actually, no, I can't remember if they were
headliners.
I don't remember if they were the headliner. They were either that or they were like right before the headliners. And what's funny is I didn't even. It was one of those all-day festivals that back in my 20s, I could have stood on my feet all day long, putting beers down and been absolutely fine. Me being in my 40s, and we got there at 11, and by 6 o'clock, I'm like, damn, my feet hurt. So I stuck it out through Offspring, Weezer, The Used, and then I think Blink-182 was coming out. I saw them in Jimmy Eat World and Green Day in Kansas City when I was in my early 20s. Oh, I shit you not. I can't believe I did this, but it's still Mark, Tom, and Travis, the original three, or not the original three, but the main three at this point. I looked at my buddies and I'm like, seen it, heard it, listened to it a million times, going back to the hotel. I know that. Yeah, it was crazy. Last time I saw them, they all had long hair, well, except for Travis. And Mark's got, just like me, he's got the receding hairline that's coming back to here, and I'm like, damn, it hits all of us.
You know what I mean? Buddy. So I'm just enjoying this length while I can still have it.
I'm just gonna keep my hat on because I'm turning into Kenny Chesney really fast. Or every woman's like, man, you look so good with the cowboy hat on. And he takes his cowboy hat off.
And I certainly don't want to speak ill of Blink. I just think they were making such a cool, that self-titled record was such a musical development for them, and they kind of went back to being oriented.
Trendy.
There was something youthful about their music and rebellious. We're young troublemakers. It had this high school energy to it.
Yeah.
And then with their self-titled, they really started this new thing. And I was like, this is it's my favorite work of theirs. And then the big breakup happens. They come back together. I feel like it kind of pulled the breakup kind of pulled them out of their growth and then they kind of went back to what was they knew as a group or something like that. But yeah,
right. Let's be honest. When they get it's hard to see, and you see this with a lot of artists as they age, and they're still playing these songs that are back when they were 18, 19, and 20, and you're looking at them live, and you're like, you guys are dads and married now. I'm not really buying what you're selling.
That's an interesting thing too, as an artist, because you do play songs from different parts of your life, right? I have songs I had a pretty gnarly cocaine problem some years back.
Oh shit!
And a lot of the writing I was doing was about those experiences and about that way of life, and so or even it's kind of a funny thing, I have songs about old lovers, right? And then your current girlfriend is at your show, and it's it's this awkward you know, of you're singing about the past, but it's also, you know, it's like that was my life, and that's like the story I have to tell, and so, you know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
it is a funny thing, like being an artist, because you're referencing your own past, and you kind of, in a certain way, it follows you into your present. And that's not the life you're living now, but it's still like part of the whole arc, you know, the whole story arc.
It's those times of your life where you were going through, you know, at that time you didn't know it was hell, but you look back on it now and you're like, shit, I was in a dark place. But that's what creates the story for those songs. Shit, man, Aerosmith wrote like 3 albums when Steven Tyler couldn't even remember what he did the previous day. I remember hearing a story by him where he, like, one of their best songs, I don't even remember which one it was, but was written about a time where he woke up in an abandoned building in New York City, and had no idea how he got there.
Damn, that's fucking gnarly.
All he knew is he was up on all sorts of heroin at that point in time, and it's like, but yeah, that's the only reason I remember him asking that question. Is they're like, so, you know, you completely sober now, all this stuff, and he's like, they said, was it harder to write music? And he goes, absolutely.
That's kind of a real. So there was an interesting tipping point. I mean, definitely not completely sober. Like I told my mom after I, you know, part of getting off a drug for real is like telling everybody that, like, you know, it's like, hey, I have this fucking problem, and you know, so like I was like, I remember it was like the first, I don't know, family gathering or something after getting clean, and telling my mom about the whole thing, and she's like, should you be drinking? I was like, Mom, I got off cocaine. I'm not a priest, so. So
That's one of the best lines I've heard.
I was gonna say, isn't there a saying like Wisconsin sober, where you start drinking beer to sober up to drive home?
Getting off the hard liquor and switching to beer, but then you turn into a fatty. So
they do serve some damn good food up in Wisconsin. I know that.
Well, you were actually, I forgot now, kind of with you had said something about.
Oh yeah, you were so you're transitioning through some bands, and then
so well, you
had
said the thing about like, is it harder to write, and with the Steven Tyler thing, and there's a sweet spot for sure, right? Like, there's a saying, I can't remember, maybe it was Dennis Quaid who said it. He's like, cocaine is fun, and then it's fun with problems, and then it's just problems, and like I saw a similar thing with the songwriting, where it's like, I was ambitious, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so there was like a lot of writing. There was like a creative renaissance for me, because I'd actually kind of stopped writing songs like pretty much altogether. You know, I got into MMA and kickboxing, and I was pursuing that. I was coaching.
Oh shit!
And I'd kind of all but like left behind the guitar. You know, I'd still pick it up here and there. And then during COVID, I had started. So I was seeing this girl who lived out in New York City during COVID, and I was like, well, yeah, I was like, you need to get the fuck out during COVID, because I thought it was, you know what I mean, like looting in the streets type shit. And so she's like, no, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm driving there. So like literally, like, you know, the day COVID like was like announced as like an actual like global phenomenon, I was like, well, I'm coming to New York City. So I went there, and then I'm stuck there, and I had my guitar with me, and honestly, I might not have even brought it, except for the fact that I'd gone back to college because I wanted to do my degree. Because, you know, I was kind of at this point where it's like, I don't know what my life is, you know. And so I was when I first went to college when I was 18, was retaking beginner guitar, or I'd taken beginner guitar at 18. The cute girl that was sitting next to me in class stopped coming, so I stopped going to class. So I failed, and I didn't give a shit. But then, like, I was like trying to like actually, you know, I had grad school aspirations in philosophy, and so I wanted to like get my GPA up, and so I retook that class, and then it shut down. So we went virtual. So I brought my guitar with me, and what happened was I was watching Billy Strings play "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," and I was like, mesmerized, and I was like, dude, I've been playing the guitar for like fucking 15 years. I should be able to play like this. And so I literally slowed the video down to 25% on YouTube and just obsessed over it for days until I could play it. And now that like alternating picking style is kind of like, I mean, it's like half my songs are written like that. And then shortly after that, then I developed a cocaine habit, and then writing really like, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be, you know, like,
super
Robbie Sender idea came to me because like my birth name is Shriner, but people always inevitably mispronounce that as Schneider for some reason. And then there's Rob Schneider, the comedian. Like, as much as I appreciate the comedic genius of Adam Sandler and his whole crew, you're trying to like establish a brand identity. You don't want to be confused. So that's when I adopted the Sender thing, because I was also like, I send it, because I was fucking degenerate. So, so you're really creative for a while, and then all of a sudden, then you're just like needing cocaine to like have a normal functioning day, and all of that creativity like disappears because now there's no like big energy time to feel like you're like ready to produce. You're just surviving. But yeah, there was a sweet spot in there for sure where I was making a lot of music.
Well, dude, for one, thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. I've had a lot of friends, like, not, and this is even from radio times, but like even after that, Western Iowa, where we came from, like I have friends that were in bands. Some of them were regionally big. Some of them, tried going to Nashville, stuff like that. And, I'm somebody who, I partook, in certain things when I was in the music industry as well. So it's like, I've seen it. I know what it's like to be around. I know what the addiction's like. So yeah, man, like that's tough as hell to overcome. Nice
Thank
job.
you. It's good to be on the other side of it all.
Hell yeah, dude. Brett, I've been sitting here hogging the mic the entire time. What did you have as far as a question or two, buddy? I know that you had a few things about his songs and stuff that you really wanted to pick his brain about.
Well, you already kind of like unpacked them, and like I'm really kind of intrigued in like your process around like the writing. Like how do you come up with the ideas, and then like once you've got it, how do you structure it and like build out
I wish
the song?
if I understood my method, I'd be so much more productive, man. I sometimes you like slave over a song for a really long time, and sometimes it is right there, Interestingly enough, now that I'm thinking about it, the ones that I have out right now, and the next one I'm putting out too, they all kind of came pretty quick, which is and I always tend to like those ones a little more too. But like I think what'll happen is like I'll get like a line in my head, and usually the lyric is accompanied by like just like a little hook, and it'll be like one little word or whatever, right? Where like like Small Town Love is an example, is like what did I do, like that, just kind of like that was just there in my head. And then and then you like, so you follow that, you just pull on a thread a little bit, and so like oftentimes a chorus will like kind of be the first thing that comes out, and then you're like, okay, like, and then you're trying to figure out like what's the story here. But like then there's songs like My Friend, where I didn't like that song. I didn't think it was any good.
It's like Brett's favorite song of yours.
It's top five.
Top five. I only got 3 out.
Well, no, top five in like
oh shit!
my list of songs I'm listening to right now.
Yeah, that one was funny. I remember, I really had no idea.
Yeah. It's 4 or 5 out of the 3 you got out. But
yeah, man, I had no idea what that was about, or what I was like trying to say with that one. That definitely reflects like when I was younger writing songs, because that song is. I mean, if you find Snake Oil, you'll find it out with them. Like with slightly different lyrics and arrangement, but I mean, basically the same song. And it was like, it didn't really have I didn't know what it was about. I would just kind of like flow. I was reading a lot of like Rumi and like poetry, and like being kind of like, I don't know, like angsty and mysterious, and like not like I realized a lot of what I was doing was kind of like therapizing myself through my writing. And so I would just and like but I didn't know what I was saying or what the song was really called. I used to call it Unsolicited because it seemed like just a stream of unsolicited advice that you would like if you like listen to the lyrics. And so so that song was like, there was not an intentional story that I was telling there at all. That was like a kind of stream of consciousness thing. And like I said, I didn't even really care for it, but my buddy was like, I think you should include that in the set. And then I kept playing it because I realized the reactions it was getting. But yeah, so I've definitely tried to craft things more now as a writer. And so like I said, you kind of pull on the thread, and then you find like, I think the first thing that probably came to me was like, I had never liked the city, but New York's going to have to do. And I was like, okay, like what is this? what's this story?
That's where that
Yeah,
came from.
and like so like you kind of are you know, so then you just find a way to tell the story around that, and sometimes it's more true than others. You know, like you know, 80% of small town love isn't like a true story. You know, like there's like you know the first verse is like almost fully true, more or less. You know, and then but the rest is kind of just like a way to then tell a story of some kind. And then you got Other Side of Blue, which is
Yeah.
like deeply personal, and every line is like exactly a thing that happened, you know, on a particular day of my life. And so it's just all like, you know, it really depends, but the process is usually like, you know, a line and a little melody idea will come, and then, you know, and then it just starts like flowing. And like I said, sometimes it kind of comes out in like the most recent song I wrote is actually going to be my next release. And I wrote that, I was at work listening to a bunch of Charlie Crockett, and I just like
Okay.
just had this idea from a guy in the shop with me, Jose, who I call him El Tomate. And we were joking around one day, you know, and he was like, "When are you going to write a song about me?" And I was like, you know, like again,
Please tell me you're releasing a song called El Tomate.
And if so, when are you going to put the
What's that?
T-shirts out? If you are calling it El Tomate, when
You
are you
know,
putting the T-shirts out?
I got some ideas. The tricky thing is like, especially at like my level, when you're talking about merch, it's like, you know, like you kind of want to like. I would love to have like individualized pieces of merch for every release, but it's like it's not moving product like that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's, but
Yeah. Yep. I
so
get it. I've had people ask us like, do you guys sell hats or anything? I'm like, we're not to a point
We're
where
not making them on that level to make it cost effective.
Yeah.
we're not going to make
Yeah,
money
you know,
on that at this
I got
point.
I got you know some hats and t-shirts in the back of my truck, and then you know maybe if I move those, I'll make an El Tomate line. But yeah, that song I wrote that at work. I was at the tire desk, and I just like was like, and like the story just started unfolding, and I wrote that whole song in probably 10 minutes, and then brought it home and picked up my guitar and was like, yep, that's it. And so
Hell yeah, man. It's crazy how like some of the best songs, and we're talking even historically, some of the artists out there literally just thought of it, and then like you said, some of them. I know one particular artist freaking recorded an entire album in like a 2-hour session one day. Like went into the studio with his band, and was like, you know what, we're gonna lay down these albums, and we're just gonna whatever comes off the comes off the chest, we're gonna do it. And they ended up releasing the damn album. I was blown away. I'm like, holy shit, you just walk into a studio. And that's, and people rave about it, And that's
I
freaking
mean,
awesome.
it like
10
maybe
minutes, huh?
maybe 15 or 20, but it was quick. It came like verse chorus came
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah. So I was going to ask you too, with up in being up in Wisconsin, this is a question I've always been curious about. This has been for a long time now. Anybody who comes from what, I call the North, since we're from Iowa, do you ever think like, as far as like country music, is there a little bit of a Northern country sound versus like Southern?
Milwaukee's got a pretty cool scene, and there's a lot of guys in like this alt country or like country adjacent or y'alternative. I've heard.
Yeah, y'alternative.
We were talking about this, and I think there is, but I don't know exactly how to put a finger on it. Because there's like,
I don't either.
I don't know exactly what the distinguishing feature between folk music and country music is. Like, I mean, you might say, like I feel a little self-conscious personally about like calling what I do country in a certain way. Like, if I had a drawl, then I think what I did probably would be country music. Like, the struggle country thing was like sort of like a tongue-in-cheek way. It was like sort of like it was kind of almost like a way of describing the sound. Like I have a buddy around town who does something like, not terribly dissimilar from what I do, and he calls it Midwest trucker emo. You know what I mean? And so like,
that sounds like it would. I think I would actually like that.
Dead Swans. He's a great songwriter. Is the name of his project.
It's called Dead Swans.
Good friend of mine.
Okay.
And
hell yeah.
Yeah. So like that kind of inspired me to like create like a little just a pin of some kind on like the identity of my music. And so I don't know what distinguishes folk from country exactly, but there's like it's in that whole wheelhouse, right? I think, obviously there's something about it. The Midwest, this northern thing, like we almost called it like we I think we were calling it North Woods country or something like that, like where there's, I mean, first of all, there's no drawl. And secondly, I think the songwriting isn't as, like, traditional country music has a very direct kind of storytelling, like, feature. I think, like, the North Woods thing is kind of influenced by, like, the indie songwriting. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Connor Oberst,
Sure.
of guys. Like his songwriting to me is like some of the most genius of all time. Along with, I mean, but then like then you have traditional influences like Townes Van Zandt. So like there's something like Conor Oberst specifically has something like very poetic and ambiguous in his songwriting, but still manages to like create like a through line. And I find that type of songwriting more up here, where traditional country music seems like a much more concisely packaged story. So like there's something in, because like if you're listening to the music itself, the chord structures are the same, and if you put like a pedal steel and a Telecaster on it, it sounds like country music, but it's like, but this isn't quite country. And so I think it's in the songwriting and in the actual like vocalization where there's not a drawl in the lyric,
Yeah, and then there's top 40 country, which, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when anybody's asking me about true country music, I just kind of brush that stuff to the sides. I'm like, there's country music that people are writing lyrics, they're writing songs, and it's not necessarily, some of it might be about what they feel, but a lot of it is because they've got some PR person, they've got a record label, they've got multiple others saying your fans or people want to hear stuff about this.
That's another thing too about like the folk versus country thing, I think, is that folk songs are typically a singular writer, and it's oftentimes a more personal story, whereas like country has like a rich tradition of shared songwriting. I really respect it and appreciate it. It's never a thing that I've done. I think I'd like to explore like co-writing and doing things like that. Just never really had like the community of people that are like interested in doing it. But there's something too about like the country tradition is like to like guys write a song together and it's like, oh, this one's perfect for you. You know what I mean? And like, and so like, I don't like, and that's, I mean, that's top 40, that's even traditional country, like, like one of Willie Nelson's most popular songs, Poncho and Lefty, was written by Townes Van Zandt, and stuff like that. So so I think there's like something about like the co-writing like aspect or the shared writing thing.
Absolutely.
That's a part of that distinction.
It's funny, you mentioned that, 'cause it's when I found out about that, that's when I was working in radio, and I was at a concert in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and the radio staff and everybody, we had our own little area to hang out in, and one of the guys I was on radio with actually introduced, I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name. I think he had a couple songs that went big because he originally was a writer. I cannot remember for the life of me who the hell this guy was. Anyways, I'm standing there, and I'm not going to say the guy's name, but the guy I was on the radio with goes, Nolan, I wanted to introduce you to, such. I shake his hand, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what are you doing here? And the guy that I'm in the radio with just kind of looks at me with this like deer in the headlights. Like, for one, he was blown away. I did not know the guy's name. And then number two, he goes, he wrote songs for Garth Brooks. I'm like, oh, stupid move. I had no
as
idea.
a consumer,
this guy,
like it's like you connect the song with this person. You assume it's like their personal story, and like it's like, oh, he wrote this about his wife or what. It's like whatever. Like, and it's like, no, dude. Like maybe somebody else wrote it about theirs, or maybe they wrote it about a wife in the abstract. And like. It's, I mean, it's really just like storytelling, like I started realizing, especially in country music, it's much more like writing a script or a movie where it's like, it's not necessarily like a lived thing all the time. Like sometimes it's just like, oh, that's a cool, like story that might've happened somewhere, and
the thing is like somebody else could write a song that you could stumble upon and be like, you know what,
Yep.
this connects with me. And that's the other thing is like, your performance of it may be a hell of a lot more heartfelt
like
than
the
person
classic
that's writing it too.
example of Hurt, by 9 Inch Nails, is done by Johnny Cash.
Uh-huh.
Like, I can't remember dude's name now
Jesus,
off
man.
the top of my head. The writer of
Trent Reznor.
Trent
he
Reznor.
famously was like, well, that's Johnny Cash's song now, like.
Yep. It is too. And it's funny, you go through the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville, and when you're walking out, one of the last displays is the story of that song, and it's it's pretty. It kind of takes you back a bit. You mentioned MMA, so being in Wisconsin, I have to ask you, since Brett and I both come from the Iowa area, which wrestling is a religion. Did you wrestle at all?
I
in
wrestled
high school or
in middle school for like a year, maybe 2. And I was not any good at it, and I found myself like I didn't have any drive when I was a kid. Like, I was a fucking bum, dude. Like, and I really didn't like find my athletic stride until like deep into my adult life. Like, I came to the sport real late as it was. It's funny. I was sitting on the couch eating a pint of ice cream, looking down at my belly one day. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing with your life, man?
That's a tough day. I've been there too, man.
That was like 2 days ago for me.
So I was like, I got to start working out. So I started lifting, and I like wanted to accelerate like this process of getting fit. And I went to what I thought was like a fitness kickboxing class at this MMA gym here in Milwaukee. And I like went to the wrong class, and it was just kickboxing class. And so I kind of like got thrown into it right away, and I was like, oh, actually, this is awesome. Because before then, my impression of these guys was like they're these knuckle dragging idiots who hate their dads, and like.
And they're actually
it couldn't be further from the truth, man. Like, these
disciplined.
guys are like not like they're like the humblest, chillest. Like, we would go like fucking dancing at the gay bars, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like. They were just the most opposite of like the stereotype of a guy who fights, and I was like, these guys fucking rule. And so like I stumbled into that, and that's when I like started finding like this drive. I was like, because it became like a thing where like I was already like a full blown adult, right? So you're not like, you don't have any illusions about like I never had aspirations to be a pro or anything like that, but I was like, but I can be like. Once you start to feeling like you have some aptitude for the thing, then you realize like that there's this, you can always get better. Like, and you're like, and that became rewarding in and of itself, where it was like this sense of, like, I know I will never be the best. Like, there's always going to be a guy who's better. But like, just the idea of getting better all the time, like all of a sudden it's almost like, an addiction. Like, it's almost like having ambition feels good,
It's nice to have it every once in a while, right?
So no, to answer your question, no, I didn't wrestle growing up. I wish I had, because honestly, I'm not much of a grappler. I'm pretty damn good on my hands and feet, but if you put me down on the ground, there's a good chance I'm staying there, if I'm being perfectly frank.
You're a striker is what they call it then. Robbie's the guy, Brett, that likes to say that he enjoys going to bars with me because he can run his mouth, and then
don't get me wrong.
Robbie can fill in for me.
I can grapple a bit, but
I don't run my mouth. I just talk a lot.
like around real grapplers, I know my place. You know what I mean?
And I'll correct it for the record. Brett doesn't run his mouth, but yeah, he's social.
Yes, I've never met a person that's not my friend.
I believe the actual wording is, if I ever get in a bind, Nolan's there.
100%.
It's like, I feel like in a room of grapplers, I'm probably like right in the middle of the bell curve, maybe a little bit to the left. In a room of strikers, I'm, pretty far on the right, but yeah, I mean, so I found that, never grew up wrestling, but yeah, that definitely remains a passion of mine. That was a bit of a tragedy in and of itself, where, in the throes of addiction, I was coaching, and like, my boss at the gym could like, it was written all over my face kind of. And then, one day he's like, dude, I don't trust you anymore, man. You got to go. Yeah, but so I paid.
That sticks with you though. And kind of, it's something you go back on when you're like, anytime you're having those weak days, though, like you remember, shit, man, I have those days too. Like trust me, if there's anybody that can give you a long list of fuck ups throughout their life, it's me. Like anytime I'm feeling like, you know what, I'm gonna fall back into those holes. Like I think about those days where I'm like, okay, well, you've got 30 of those instances that happened in your life. You didn't learn from them before, so maybe today's the day. So I was gonna ask you one other question, and this is just a question I always like asking everybody. And Brett's when I'm talking about like favorite bands of all time, and that's across any genre, because Brett gave me a band that are they Canadian, Brett? The band you were I can't remember what band it was you were talking to me about.
When was I talking about them?
Oh, we were drinking on your patio, buddy.
It was the band.
The band, yes, they're called the band.
The documentary.
And I had never heard of them before, so this is like something that inspired me. I'm like, I love hearing about this. Like, what was the first? You know, you mentioned Blink-182, but if you were to go back and you're like, you know what, the sound that I have and everything, like, who do you try to make your sound? I guess it's like, I don't want to say that because I mean your sound's awesome, so I don't want to say like you would wish your sound be different. Like, who is like one of your biggest inspirations?
So
as far as
I
your
would
sound
say
right
now some of my biggest inspirations would be, or like guys that I feel like I'm kind of who still kind of like resonate with me. I mean, Townes Van Zandt for sure. I already mentioned Connor Oberst as well. I don't think I write quite as ambiguously as his, but I like there's and especially like a handful of his records, like I'm Wide Awake It's Morning from Bright Eyes, and then some of his solo Casadega, which I can't remember. That one I think is Bright Eyes, and then he's got his self-titled Connor Oberst. Like that kind of era, it's more folky than I think what I'm doing right now, but the like simple in the arrangement, like that was definitely there. I think, I mean, just in terms of like just favorite bands or like guys like if I was gonna like be in like if I was gonna like lean more in the rock direction, this band out of Europe, I can't remember what country, they're called Mother's Cake, and their self-titled
I don't know why.
was like one of my favorite records of all time, man. Yeah, they were. So
Really?
you remember the Pirate Bay back in the day when like you would go on their page and they would have like a music video on like their homepage. So they had like a video up one day, and I listened to that and I was like, holy smokes, because it was almost like an advertisement for their like pirated product. Like it was kind of like a way to advertise yourself back when like piracy kind of like before it had gotten like a boot on it.
Before Napster took
it was
over.
like it was post Napster, but it was pre like because then like the torrent world took over the piracy domain. But anyway, so I found those guys there. They ruled. So like definitely in the rock. If I were like leaning into that rock element, I'm trying to think of like some guys today who Red Clay Strays have a sound like really that seems to vibe with what I do right now. Charlie,
those guys are huge down here right now.
It seems like they're huge everywhere right now. Charlie Crockett, man, I like. There's so much music now too that like I'm on. Most of my music discoveries come through Instagram, which I find. You know what I mean? Like I'm just scrolling.
Yeah.
This guy fucking shreds. You know?
I can see that.
So like honestly, I feel guilty because it's almost like I don't remember names. I'll just be like, oh, cool, follow, go to Spotify, follow, and then like they just pop up. But I'm not really like looking. I'm just jamming, and
it's whatever catches your ear.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's all. I mean, it's funny that like the names you mentioned, I can actually hear all of those in your sound.
Well, I appreciate
in one way or another.
That.
That makes sense. Absolutely. Brett, what do you have as far as curiosities right now?
No, I'm always curious, like the live shows. Like I love live shows. I have zero music talent. Like the only way I'd be up on the stage is if like not this man.
He was called the songbird of our generation.
No. Like the only way I'd be up on stage is if you're like throwing a pie at me or something. But what's that one show you've done where you come out and everything's just right and like afterwards you just like got goosebumps?
You know what's funny is like actually one of the most memorable shows I ever did was actually not necessarily a Robbie Sender show. It was with one of my old bands. I remember we had absolutely packed this place on New Year's Eve, dude. And there was this band that we were playing with called the Young Revelators. I don't think they play together anymore.
It's a badass name, though.
Dude, they still have
Yeah.
music on the internet. If you search the Young Revelators, the Ballad of the Unknown Band remains one of my favorite songs of all time. But those guys were in the audience that night. Oh no, this was with a different band. This was a band I was playing the drums in, Peter and the People, with my buddy who plays the bass on my tracks, Peter. So but these guys were in the audience that night, and place is packed, and we like all looked at each other, and because we had like kind of jammed. It's got this like really like kind of iconic riff, like and we like looked at each other, and somebody started playing it, and then I just started hitting the hi-hat, and like the place erupted because everybody knew them and their music, and like they knew they were the audience, and it was like that was definitely one of the most memorable musical experiences of my life. There was another time with Glenview where we had packed this bar, and I was still a big pothead back then. I remember packing a bowl on stage and hitting it and passing it to the audience and watching that go around the room. That was fun. With my stuff, I recently started playing with these guys, the Bo Randall Band out of Milwaukee. Awesome dudes, and they're a bluegrass band. And we just like got connected. We like happened to play a show together, and it was like we just clicked immediately, like vibe wise. And then we were playing shows together, and they were like, "Hey, if like you want us to join you for a couple songs," I was like, "That'd be awesome." I'll do a few tunes with them at the end of the set, and those are always electric. So because my shows are all solo, so it's just me with the acoustic guitar up there most of the time. And so anytime I get to like thicken up the sound and really kind of make it, feel just more alive is always a great feeling.
Nice. So I was going to ask you, do you have any what's on the horizon for you? So like I know you've got some songs out. Do you have plans to get together, like I guess, publish or put out an album, produce an album? I don't want to say published, not like you're writing a book, but produce an album. Like, do you have, like as far as shows coming up, got anything up on the horizon
regarding
for you?
like releases, right now my plan is to continue doing these singles and like kind of develop like a repertoire online.
Okay.
If you drop an
Sure.
album as like a unknown artist online, like all like even if one song does well, like great, but the others kind of sit in obscurity a little bit. And so, like, I've found that like the best strategy is just to like release one at a time, and then when you have like a fan base, like a proper fan base, then you start like that's because fans are who listen to albums, right? But like right now, I'm trying to build an audience,
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna keep doing the singles thing for a while, and then I think what I'll probably do at some point is kind of like take a handful of songs that I feel like sit together well and like kind of maybe like release that or like re-release that maybe with some like new arrangements or something like that as a proper like LP of some kind. As far as shows go, let me look at my calendar here. I'm in a cool position right now where it's like I'm still like relatively unknown, but I'm seeing like some success with like the kind of like promotion campaigns that I'm doing online and stuff like that, and like connecting with people in other states and stuff like that. I do this thing. There's a bar here in Milwaukee called Nashville North. Yeah, and
Nashville North.
I've had the good fortune of being asked to host a Songwriters in the Round thing there once a month, and so it'll be me and two other songwriters on stage. All three of us are up there the whole time, and I play, you play, you play, I play, you play, you play. It is. It's an awesome forum. It's a very laid back vibe, and it's given me an opportunity to like kind of cultivate or curate like a community too, because what I'm trying to do is connect with people from out of town who want to so me and one other local, and then somebody from out of town, so that they can kind of like break themselves into Milwaukee a little bit, and also then like, and now I know somebody in another state, and so I can go travel and play with them somewhere else, because as much like I love Milwaukee and I love playing here, but I don't want to. You like it's this delicate dance where it's like not to, I kind of almost it's kind of gross when you talk about it as like a business, but whatever, man. You're trying to make it your career. There's some sense in which you don't want to
It is.
play your hometown too much because then you like get kind of pigeonholed as like a local artist and
Right.
so kind of trying to navigate that balancing act right now because the Milwaukee opportunities keep like flowing in and I'm grateful for them and I'm taking them, but it's also this thing where I'm starting to feel like okay, like I need to be breaking out. And so this Nashville North situation has been an excellent opportunity to start making some out of town connections and people to play with like in the Midwest area. Basically, I'm on. If anybody in Iowa or anywhere, frankly, in the Midwest is listening right now, I'd love to be on the road a little bit more, trying to set it up so that later, early next year, I'll be doing at least like one other state, every couple weeks, so that even if they're not tours.
What are your thoughts on traveling to Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, by
if
chance?
you got a show, I'll make the journey. All
Brett
right.
might have a connection.
I'll reach out to my
I do,
brother-in-law.
yeah. I mean,
He owns a bar down there and they have bike week, and he's always looking for
dude,
live
yeah,
music.
I'd love that, man. Dude, the Ozarks are so beautiful. I went through there some years back, maybe like 8-10 years ago. I had this old KZ 650 that I took down to Mexico. I went through the Ozarks
Nice.
on my way down, and that was, dude, so beautiful.
Great riding, as far as scenery,
coolest,
just great
yeah.
country to ride through.
But yeah, I got a slew of shows coming up here. I'm playing Thursday night here in Milwaukee with a gal from Madison. I got a bunch of gigs in Milwaukee, basically all summer. You guys know about Summerfest? So
I've heard of it.
yeah, so
not in
Summerfest is
Milwaukee,
like
right?
it used to be even cooler, where it's like a week, or like a 10-day like music festival, basically. Not like a camping style music festival, but just like it's like it's an all ages kind of thing where like it's open like noon to 10 p.m. and like food vendors and like very Wisconsin vibes where like deep fried ice cream cones and cheese curds and day drinking and music all day long. All
Jelly Roll is going to be there, huh?
Yeah,
Jelly Roll.
I believe that. So I'm playing one of the smaller stages.
Dude, I just looked it up. It looks awesome.
Now they do it in they do like I think 3 weekends of 3 days since COVID. But it used to be like a 10-day straight, so like it would be like during the week. And that was cool too cuz you could go and you would still see like major acts during the week. So it was kind of a cooler vibe during the week too cuz you could show up a little early and like it wouldn't be like this madhouse sort of situation. But so I'm doing that June 18th, and then but I'm so I got stuff going on all summer long, and I'll be posting about it on my Instagram and all that. I think right now most of my show dates are also on my Spotify page. If you like, you can like click on like the events banner on there, and they'll pop up there. But yeah, so I'm playing just about every weekend now locally. But like I said, I'm trying to kind of find my way out of the city a little bit. I'm at this weird point with my job where it's starting to feel like a bit of a velvet prison where you're comfortable there, but it's like, and it's like there's only so much missing work you can do and still keep your job. So it's like I'm going to have to start kind of making, I think, some sacrifices when it comes to that kind of thing if I really want to pursue this the way I'd like to be.
That's the tough point that I think every talented aspiring musician hits, especially when you're starting to see interest. Like people are starting to like your stuff, right? And it's like, I'm sure people have liked your stuff for a while now, but you're starting to see it grow. And it hits that point where it's like, and Brett and I had this conversation a while back with, because we had a band called Down 430 on here from down in North Carolina. And that's one of the questions we asked them. And you're bringing it up right away right now is the fact that like when does it, you hit a point where you're like, all right, is this no longer a hobby? This is going to be a career.
So,
and it's tough.
It is scary, yeah. And I mean, because like, honestly, my biggest regret is like not giving this an honest go when I was younger. Because like, when you're, I've lived in a van before and stuff like that, and it's like, it's kind of romantic when you're 24, when you're 30. anymore, you're a homeless person. You know what I mean?
You're no longer chasing a dream. You're in the veil.
So like, so it is scary. It is scary, but I'm figuring it out, and I got, I have a huge, I have a support community here. Like, my girlfriend is wildly supportive. She's amazing. Shout out Shayna. Love you. You're amazing.
Hi, Shayna. We didn't get to talk to you, but we're happy that you let your boyfriend join us for a while.
I have a good friend, Dan, Eric, Emily. They're like, like Dan is like a guy, he was my good friend of mine, actually a guy who played drums in one of my bands way back in the day. He's still a very good friend of mine. His cousin growing up, and he'd be around, and so like I'd met the guy, but we weren't close or anything like that. We ended up like going to a show with this buddy I had just mentioned and reconnected there. And then I ran into him at a bar playing an open mic, and he was listening. He was like, "Oh, I'll check you out." And so he listened, and he was like, "Oh shit, like you're actually good," and came to a show and was like, "Oh, like cool." And we were joking, and he was like, he was like spitballing these ideas at me, and I was like, "Well, you want to be my manager?" As a joke. And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, okay. And so like now, so I like he's in my corner. I got my friend Emily who's helping me with all this merch. Again, very homegrown thing. She's married to like a dude I've known since I was 3 years old. And then my buddy Eric, longtime friend who just like is just super supportive, and he just like this community of people around me who are they're like, I can't pay these people anything. They're just here to be part of the ride with me, and like the second I can afford to like be paying them, I cannot wait to give them a seat at this table, because it's like I just cannot express the amount of gratitude that I have for them for like just helping me, because like this stuff, like being your own social media manager and booking agent and like manager and schedule coordinator, like there's so, and then I have to write fucking songs and record songs, and like like it's just,
It's a lot.
so they help me a lot, and so I'm really grateful for the community I have around me that's been helping me do this.
That's incredible. It's funny because like we're small fries for a podcast, like, or a show, whatever you want to call it. Brett's even been looking for a social media manager for us.
It's tough, man. Yeah, because it's like that's a full-time job in and of itself, and so
Yeah.
And it's a talent, like
Yeah.
being able to be like good at that and
Yeah,
get out
'cause
that message.
Us two are just two knuckleheads putting out stuff we think is good. You could be crap to everybody else.
That's all of everything.
Some of the
I
clips
realized
are.
that too, even about music, man. Is like the songs I was writing when I was 16 years old. Like it's not like they were good. You were just too dumb to realize it. And so like you weren't afraid because you were stupid. You know what I mean? And so like then when you're grown, then you're self-conscious about what you're doing, because it sucks at first. And that's just like the reality. And like that was like the thing with like the whole social media thing. Like, like if you're on my Instagram or my TikTok or whatever, like you'll see like I've fought TikTok tooth and nail for so long, and then finally some of my young friends were like, "Dude,
So did I.
you need to be on TikTok. Like, what are you doing? You're dumb." And so I bit the bullet and did it. But like, yeah, just like, "Hey, what's up, guys? It's Rob," and like you feel so dumb. But you just gotta do it, and then you
Nolan
just get
refuses to do a dance.
eventually. And now it's just a thing where it's like, even like sometimes I'm slacking and I don't have like a good piece of content to put up, but it's like, but I need to feed the algorithm, dude. Fucking the beast has to eat. So, what's up, guys?
Right.
Like, how we doing it? And you just spitball for 30 seconds.
Well, the crazy thing is too, is we, you mentioned self-conscious, and it's like, I'm extremely self-conscious about stuff we put out. Brett knows that. Like, I'm overly anal about like things that we put out. The thing is, what you see is what people would like versus what people engage with can be two completely different things. Like, there's some of the stuff we've put out across social media platforms where I thought, man, people are going to love this.
Dude.
And barely anybody looks at it. And then we put out some random clip about us talking about people in Council Bluffs, Iowa doing stupid shit, and 20,000 people are literally like sharing it
and it's blowing up, and like all of a sudden, like all of our followers start going up, like, and we had no idea that
It's
was going
so
to happen.
funny. Like I don't understand it. I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall until something sticks. You know, like
Yep.
like it's funny. Like one of the best performing posts I ever made was like so I try to, when I release a single, I try to like do like an ad campaign, several different ads for the song, you know, and with like the same clip of the music with like different like visual content. And with Small Town Love, when I released that, there was like some issue with like the date like of release, and all of a sudden I got like an email, and it's like your song is live, and I was like, what? Like I haven't made any of my ad content yet. And so I like posted like, you know, I like a panic like post basically where I was like, well, I guess my song is live, guys. Like
I think I saw
that
that
did better
one.
than like anything. So I then ended up running that as my ad campaign, and so you know, like it's just like so it's a fickle beast, dude. But
Well, hell yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you what, in true form, there's a few pieces of our show we've been doing recently. I saved a few for, you know, when you're joining. One of them is obscure state laws that are still in place and guessing
all
which
right,
state this could be.
some of these.
Oh yeah. And then we have stereotypical names, which, you know, per state, which I'm going to ask you. So we're going to start off with the obscure laws. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to try and find one too. Okay. So, and this is in New England, Robbie. Up in the New England area. Let's see here. Well, I'm not going to give any more hints. We'll just leave it in the New England area. So in this New England state, it's technically a violation to eat while swimming in the ocean. What state do you think that would be?
Hang on.
And why?
Let's see.
You're like me.
Let's see. Yeah, I never paid much attention in geography class. I would say illegal to eat while swimming in the ocean.
This is a state that I would not. If somebody asked me about an ocean state in New England, I would not associate this state with an ocean state for some reason. It's just not the first one that would come to mind. It's not Delaware.
Everyone forgets about Delaware, so that was a good guess.
I'm literally
that was a good
map,
guess.
So
Give me more. We'll give you one more guess, and I'll tell you.
is it? I mean, I guess it could be. I guess my Connecticut.
No, it's not gonna. It's actually Maryland, which is why I. This is why I said I'm like I wouldn't associate Maryland with an ocean state.
It is for about what appears to be 60 miles or so. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna stay in New England. All right. And this is one of the bigger states in New England, but you can actually be fined if you keep your Christmas decorations up past January 14th.
I'm glad to see that.
What state do you think this one is?
That governance is still working in some places.
I feel like the further you get south, the less they focus on that being a law.
I mean, well, you kind. I mean, there's really only I feel like two options for that one.
Sure.
It's got to be Pennsylvania.
That's not a bad guess.
Well, those are the only two big ones, I guess. We already did Maryland, so.
Right. I'll tell you what, man. Maine, I got stuck in Maine for like 5 days because I was up there for a wedding. Turns out if your flight gets canceled, good luck getting out of that state.
Oh,
it's
sure.
the most northeastern state in the U.S.
Hopping into Canada.
Yep. All right, we're going to go down to the southwest region. Brett recently became a little bit more familiar with this area. In this city, and I'll just say this is one of our desert states. In this city, in this state, it's illegal to actually drive a car in reverse, which technically makes backing out of the driveway or parking spot a legal gray area.
In a city in the desert, I mean,
you don't have to guess the city.
I'm guessing Arizona and Tucson.
What? Yep, you got it. Yep, actually,
Okay.
It's actually Glendale. But yeah, you got the state right. We'll do one more. Now, this is a mountain state, if you will, and this one's an odd one. Birds technically have the right of way on all hog.
I like that. Montana?
You know, that wouldn't be a bad guess at all. It's actually Utah. Yeah. No, all the weird shit they have out in Utah, it doesn't surprise me, right? Brett, any thoughts on that?
I just know I've always tried to hit a bird, and I never can, so I would be in jail in Utah. Or my license would be pulled.
He just going to cancel Sons podcast.
And then all of a sudden the Mormon community comes after us.
He's a bird hater. Get rid of him.
This other part here we'll do is so this is stereotypical male and female names per state, and I used AI to come up with this, and it's based off statistical consensus, which is names most frequently given by parents according to the Social Security Administration, and also the cultural consensus, so the names most commonly associated with the state's vibe or history. Now this one is, let's see here, we're going to start let's start down in the southeast, where the male name is Rhett and the female name is Sullivan. They're named for regional icons and coastal islands. Right. And both of you guys can participate. Yeah. So it's technically it is a coastal state in the southeast. No, go ahead.
I feel like that sounds like a coastal islands is. I want to guess, like I want to say Louisiana because it has like islands kind of like out there, but I think it's like Mississippi has that vibe for some reason.
It does. You're in the right area. You're on the wrong coast. It's technically South Carolina.
Gone with the wind.
Yeah, right. All right, let's go out to the west coast. The Pacific Northwest Nature Name Consensus is where these names came up. Male name Wilder, female name is Juniper.
I mean, for some reason that has California written all over it. It seems a little too obvious. So I'm going to say Oregon.
You hit it, man. Oregon. Yep, absolutely. All right, now we're going to head to the northern Midwest. These two names have a strong, what's it say here? Hold on a second, my screen's strong German and Great Lakes heritage. Male name of Biff and female name of Gretchen.
They're on the Great Lakes?
So it says Great Lakes heritage, strong German and Great Lakes heritage.
Biff is a German name?
What was the female name
Apparently.
again? Gretchen. I mean, I've never met a single person named Biff, so I don't want to say Wisconsin. Don't make that face.
Yeah, you would have got it. It's actually Wisconsin.
I've never met a single Biff in my life.
Now it's going to be one of those things where all you do is meet Biff.
All right, we'll do one more. Now we're heading down to Midwest, but we're talking like Midwest. And this one, there's a little bit of history in the male name that there's a lawman that goes back, and there's an attachment to the state that some people know, some people don't know. But male name of Wyatt, female name of Emma reflects the state's rugged prairie identity.
I mean, that's huge Oklahoma energy, but I feel like I got to look at the map though for that one. Oh, that's got to be Kansas, right?
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, like that just has like the south, like because to me, like the Midwest ends at like the Mississippi River. You know what I mean? Like in my conception of it. But yeah, like so that has like the southern thing. Is that Wyatt Earp? Was he from Kansas?
Yeah, Wyatt Earp actually was a former lawman in Dodge City, Kansas, which I was going to go see one time. Brett advised me not to.
Don't ever go to Dodge City. Ever. Like, it's not in hell, but you can clearly see hell from there.
But yeah, no, me with my upbringing came up in a very much like rodeo farming family. Trust me, I learned all about Wyatt Earp growing up. So when I saw that, I was like, that makes total sense. All right, nice job, man. You pretty much hit all those for the most part.
3 for 9 or
did
something.
Better than Brett. It's tough. It is tough. Brett, did you have anything from the scanner, Brett?
I've got a couple, and usually with these, I'll read these posts. They're from police scanners. So if someone calls in and says, "Hey, this is going on." So I want to.
One you sent me.
What's that?
Are you reading the one you texted me over the weekend?
I don't think so. I think I was a little drunk when I found that one. I forgot about it. But I just want to know, like, what's going through your head, like, if you're hearing this on the scanner, like, what's the mental picture you're seeing? So first one, male, brown jacket, and pajama pants. rolling in the grass and yelling, possible intox, and then threw several things on the ground. If you're hearing that come over to the scanner, what are you thinking?
Methamphetamines is what I'm thinking.
I don't think there was a
Yeah,
possible in
that
the
was
intox.
I was thinking that.
I would 100% agree. He's thinking he's seeing spiders that aren't there right now.
How about the homeowner? Like, you're just sitting there.
Well, this
like,
is in somebody's yard. That's even better.
Not
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Frank's back on the lawn.
Fucking Frank, dude.
I love it.
All right. And then this next one is actually out of Ohio. So an elderly couple calls the police and they report that someone broke into their home. How they discovered that someone broke into their home is the male told the wife a joke, and then they heard laughter from upstairs. Burglar was arrested, and luckily nothing
That's
was
awesome.
damaged.
I love that.
What was he laughing about?
How about telling a joke that's so good that someone that's broke into your house and stealing your stuff has to laugh, and then
I mean,
gives
honestly,
themselves
if I was
away?
the guy telling that joke, I would be patting myself on the back so hard about that.
And then when he was in lockup, they're like, "Why? How'd you get caught?" And you're like, "Oh my goodness, I heard the greatest joke," and everyone was probably like, "Tell us."
Slapper. Holy shit, man. Brett, what scan? Like, these weren't all Council Bluffs scanner, though, right? These were.
First one is pretty obvious. That's Council Bluffs. That is like a Tuesday in Council Bluffs.
Yeah.
The other one is just funny police reports.
Shit.
Yeah. So Ohio had a good one today. So
yeah, Robbie. Brett was out of town this weekend. I get a text message, and it is of the Omaha, Nebraska scanner, and it literally just says, "Caller needs someone to take their drunk neighbor across the street to his house."
Dude, just call in the police. Be like, dude, you gotta get Jimmy out of here, dude.
This is the third time
It's
this
like
week.
It's like your boy too. It's just like, dude.
I was thinking.
Yeah. My wife is getting pissed, man.
I was just thinking how many times I called the hazard police on you, Nolan.
No shit, right? I got tired of Larry showing up to my house.
Like, let's go again, Nolan.
Well, Robbie, keep doing what you're doing, man. Like you're freaking awesome. Like your sound is amazing, and the people that we, like I said, you Down 430. There's the other band we had on here. We got some others that we might have on here down the road. There's a sound that we hear, and we're just and granted we're no musical geniuses or anything, but it's when we hear it, it's one of those where we're like, you know what, this person's got something. Right. And dude, I was just looking at the Summerfest lineup. Shit, man, don't be surprised if I hit you up and say I'm making a trip up there.
I mean,
man.
I'd love to meet you guys in person. That'd be wonderful.
Hell yeah, man.
And that's the 18th of June, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, June 18th, the ground floor. So there's like several big stages, and then like along the lake, there's like a string of like small stages. I'll be on one of those at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Sounds like a hell of a lot better venue to go watch.
Yeah,
a
I mean,
right there on the lake.
A chill vibe especially on the lake there, and because I mean the main stages, especially once dark starts rolling around, it can get rowdy, but it depends on the show too, because there's it's not like a stylistic music festival. It's just like anything and everything.
Yeah, it looks like it's a wide array of sounds, to be honest. It goes from everything from, I pulled it up and I see a screenshot, and it's like the headliners for the weekend if I make it up there, Brett and I make it up there. Megan Maroney is one of them, and then the Pussycat Dolls.
I haven't even looked at the lineup honestly this year.
Yeah, and then Third Eye Blind is also in there.
Yeah, Summerfest
it's all over the place, man.
As a Milwaukee person, it's easy to take Summerfest for granted, because it's just it's right there, and it's just really it's kind of an inconvenience because it turns the city into a whole section of the city for a while,
Just a mess.
But it's one of the world's largest music festivals, and
I can see why. Shit. Well, all right, man. Well, we'll be staying in touch, and don't be surprised if I hit you up, seeing if you want to come back on the show down the road, man.
I'd love to, man.
Keep
I'd
up
love
with
to.
you. See how you're doing.
Set something up out by y'all, and we'll make some music.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah, buddy. Be all about it.
Well, that was our talk with Robbie, and hell of a show. Had a hell of a time hanging out with him again. I know, Brett, you were saying before that, you had a hell of a time hanging out with him too. I shouldn't say hell of a time. Like, we had a damn good hell of a time.
Hell
right?
yeah. Hell yeah. And how great is it? Like, he was all for the shenanigans that we do and was like participating in them.
My favorite part of us hanging out with him was when you were talking about the dude rolling around in the yard, and like, you won't even finish talking. You're like, what do you think? Or what were you thinking? And before you even finish, he just goes, methamphetamines is what I'm thinking. But no, just awesome. Like, I loved his vulnerability. I loved the stories he shared. Looking forward to reconnecting with him.
How great is it he's going to be playing at Summerfest up in Milwaukee? Like,
I know.
If I wasn't already like had a trip planned, like, I would go up there.
Yeah, we already talked about it, and I know that since you'll be out, I'm going to probably just go up there solo, because, I mean, for one, I want to experience Robbie live. Number two, it'd be cool to hang out with him, like, in just that environment.
Yeah.
And just, see him in his elements. But yeah, all right, well, we'll call it great, or call it good, and happy to bring you guys more of this material moving forward. It's awesome to give, some time in the spotlight for guys like Robbie, and happy to do so. And hope you all enjoy it. Give his music a listen out there on Spotify. I believe he's on Apple Podcasts, and he's on YouTube as well, much like us. So if you're looking for us, that's where you'll find us as well. But as always, I know it's tornado season up in Iowa, so it's perfect time to get a case of your favorite bush lights, bush lattes, and sit outside and enjoy the show. All right, Brett, we signing off.
Yep.
All right, have a good one, everybody.
All right, see ya.